listen, as much as Domingue was let down by the defense, he was helped by the defense in the games that he won in this series. You know, the defense was playing really well in front of him. Louis Domingue is a third-string goalie. But here's my issue with Tristan Jarry, and you're watching some of the work that he had, I believe, at morning skate the other day. He's only taken a few shots. He's only been out there a few days. It's been a month. If it's Marc-Andre Fleury or Henrik Lundqvist or Braden Holtby or somebody with more playoff experience or that just had more experience, period, maybe I'm quick to go back to that guy. But Tristan Jarry is still a newbie as a starting goalie in the league, relatively speaking. I don't know if I would take a guy who hasn't seen game action in a month, put him into that game 6, because if he were to struggle early and let in a couple of goals because he's knocking some of the rust off, that could be the difference in a game. Now, long term, he's obviously better than Domingue, but I'm riding with Domingue right now. I just don't want to put in a guy who hasn't had any type of game action into that type of environment. Now, if Domingue completely falls apart, then you have no choice. But I'm starting Louis Domingue.
Charles in Washington is on the sports call right now. What's up, Charles?
All I have to say is, Bob, if Mr. Trouba is still on the ice at the end of that game tomorrow night, the Penguins should be ashamed.
Well, sounds like he has
Charles,
some evil intentions there.
I get your point. I get your point. But I think one of the worst things the Penguins could do tomorrow is go looking for Trouba.
Can't do it.
Because then they play right into the Rangers' hands.
Right.
Play your game.
I think the league may be even looking for that sort of thing. They gotta just play their game, be physical, out-hit them, but out-chance them more than anything else. Let's go to, and by the way, fans play a big role in this. Get the Igor chance going again, because he's still, even though he played better yesterday, he still looks a little shaky to me, especially when pucks get in his feet. Jim in Mount Lebanon joins us right now. What's up, Jim?
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
We're good. Thanks.
Hey, that was a cheap shot on Crosby yesterday. If one of the Penguins would have done it, I'm sure they would have called a penalty or suspension. And I don't think that's right. And they just got to play their game tomorrow. I hope they win, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. But you don't want to get to a Game 7 if you can avoid it. That's why I think they may dig deep for this one and kind of look at it and say, go win one for Sid since he's out. And again, we don't know that he's out, but they brought up Radim Sohorna. They didn't do that just for a reason, although maybe there is gamesmanship going on. I just can't believe Crosby would play, given the way he looked last night, Jeff.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. And you hate to speculate anytime with concussions, but, yeah, it just doesn't look like that would be a scenario. And, you know, for as much as Trouba's was a cheap shot, so was Malkin's.
Absolutely.
And I think it's a bigger thing than just Penguins or Rangers. It's a league issue that this stuff is allowed to happen. And, again, I say this. If they go head hunting for Trouba, act like you did with Marchand. You left it alone. You went out and played the game. You won the game. That's what they need to do tomorrow night.
Having said that, if you get a chance to line them up legally, line them up legally. Let's go out to Jerry in Butler. Hello, Jerry. How are you?
How you doing, Bob?
What's up?
I don't know if it would be a cheap shot on Crosby. He's been in trouble before, right?
Who?
The guy that gave the hit to Crosby.
Well, I mean, he's been suspended one time. It was a pretty nasty hit to Mark Stone, but that was 5 years ago. He's made other hits, and the problem is, since he's made them, nothing's happened to him. I always thought that if you had a little bit on your history, that would influence the league in some way, given the fact that this has become a recurring thing with this, as you call it, Jeff, the chicken wing.
Yeah, listen, and I say this again, for him to, why would he stop? He's been effective, and he's not being disciplined. I don't know what their coaches are saying to him. I don't think they're telling him go injure people. They're telling him to be physical, and in his mind, being physical is sticking that elbow up and hitting and finishing checks and hitting high. And if he's not being told that that's a penalty, why should he stop?
You know, I also think Gerard Gallant has something to do with this. He came out with that other soft. He mentioned soft, like Michael Therrien did several times. And the response is by your team. When your coach says that, you better do something. And right off the bat, there was a high stick on Jake Gensel and Sidney Crosby. Nothing was called. There wasn't in the first 30 seconds of the game. But after that, there was a lot of stuff let go, and yet officials saw it, and they chose not to do anything And that's to my theory here that the NHL doesn't want to call penalties. They don't want to we don't want to influence anything. But guess what? By not calling penalties, you are in fact influencing, and it should not happen this way. A penalty is a penalty on game 1 of the regular season and the last game of the year in the Stanley Cup playoffs. We got to take a break, Jeff. Back with more calls right after this on Pittsburgh CW on 93.7 The Fan.